Namaste to all the viewers. It's my pleasure to welcome you all back on this national webinar series, Yoga Ramayana Vishwakosha History. We are glad to have with us Dr. Ishwar Basavareddy sir for our sessions.
पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। Namaste, pranams. My pranams to respected Guruji, pranams to all the disciples, followers of Lord Sri Rama, yoga enthusiasts, and brothers and sisters. My pranams to you all. Today we are going to enter into the third day of our series of discourses on Yoga Vasishtha. Yesterday we discussed about 4 pillars, important pillars. I mentioned about these 4 pillars in the beginning itself, so that to convey a message that Yoga Vasishtha has lot of practical approach. It's not only a philosophical treatise, but it's a lot of techniques, practices have been mentioned in Yoga Vasishtha. Today we are going to study or discuss the philosophy of Yoga Vasishtha today and tomorrow, both the metaphysics and different aspects of Yoga Vasishtha we are going to discuss. The story is told by Vasishtha in his dialogue with Sri Rama, unfold major yogic and philosophical concepts and practices, which I include as follow. So this dialogue discusses human suffering and nature of this life. What is this life? What is this universe? Why human beings are suffering? What is this samsara? Then there is a inherent desire for freedom. Suffering is a fact, but there is a desire for freedom from human suffering. So everybody wants sukha, nobody wants dukkha. Sukha pravritti, dukkha nivritti. Therefore there is an inherent desire for freedom. And third one is liberation from the nature of life and human suffering, which comes from spiritual living. So, suffering comes, the solution is it's a spiritual living, and he explains what is spiritual living. Then what are the efforts required to live a spiritual life, which is the one of the solution. We discussed yesterday 4 important pillars of mumukshu, sadhaka. Therefore, what type of efforts we needed to live spiritual life, that has been discussed in Yoga Vasishtha. Then it comes to the metaphysics, and there is a theory of existence including creativity and free will. So, it is not depending, it is on your will. Then most importantly for the yoga students, the role of meditation, dhyana, in spiritual liberation for practitioners. How meditation help us to liberate, use the word spiritual liberation. There are different meaning for the word liberation: nirvana, mukti, moksha, kaivalya. All seems to be the same, but the ultimately when you go into the depth, they have started somewhere and little bit of deviation from the meaning of nirvana, kaivalya, mukti, because the fundamental philosophical concepts are a little bit different. Therefore, every yoga school propose meditation. That's why in the beginning I said Vyasa, while commenting on Yoga Sutra, Yoga Samadhi, Yoga is Samadhi. It's the beginning of Dhyana. Therefore, Yoga Vasishtha also mentioned about the role of Dhyana or meditation in spiritual liberation. Then at the end it discusses most important thing on moksha, the bliss of enlightenment. What is enlightenment? These are all very beautifully explained, but to understand the whole, any concept, it is very much essential to understand the philosophy of any school. Therefore, today we discuss about the philosophy of Yoga Vasishtha. So, whenever you talk about any independent school of yoga, it may be Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, or Yoga of Vasishtha, Yoga of Gita. So, it has independent philosophical foundations. So, the most important dimension or philosophical concepts which has to be understood to practice any yoga practice of a particular school, Jnana, Bhakti, Karma, Patanjala, Kundalini, Hatha, Jaina, Bauddha Yoga, same thing of Yoga Vasishtha. So, what are those 5 important aspects? First of all, what is the ultimate reality? The concept of God or supreme consciousness or universal consciousness, different names has been given. What is the nature of God? Whether he is a personal God like the creator, destroyer, sustainer. So, like this there are different concepts of God, and particularly this school, what is the concept of God, Paramatman, the ultimate reality? Then the second one is what is the concept of Atman, the self, the spirit? Is it a Purusha? Is it a Atman? So, what does it mean? spirit or soul. This is the second one always defined. Then the third one is, what is the nature of this universe, the world? Is it a Maya or is it a Prakriti? What is that? So one has to understand this. And the most important aspect of these things is, what is the concept of the final goal? So what is the ultimate goal of life according to that particular school? Is it moksha or mukti or nirvana? So that is very particularly, you know the God, you know the individual what I am, and the world, what are the relationship and how I can reach out to the goal. And lastly, importantly, what is the means? What are the means sometime? For what? To reach the goal of that particular school. So always when I take up or teach or practice any school, I would like to try to understand the concept of God, the concept of Atman, the concept of world or Jagat, the concept of moksha or liberation or the final goal of life, and the yoga or the means, the marga. These are the 5 important dimensions to understand. This is very, very important. So nowadays, many of us are not interested to understand the basic concept. We meditate for what? Only to reduce some thoughts, some emotions, management. So that's why we are not able to remain in the state of dhyana for longer time, because we are not able to understand the basic foundations of practicing dhyana according to a particular school. Therefore, today and tomorrow we will try to understand the philosophy of Yoga Vasishtha elaborately and different concepts. Then in next 3 days we will definitely talk about the different techniques and practices mentioned in Yoga Vasishtha, the meditation techniques, and ultimately we will talk about the liberation in detail at the end. Now, I categorically mentioned not 5, but here different aspect. The whole text of Yoga Vasishtha, of 6 granthas or chapters, wherever the concept comes, and I try to elaborate and discuss. The first one is the Brahman, the second one is the Maya, the world. Then I put one more, Jagat. Then what is the causation? Karya, Karana, Bhava. And what is this Jiva, individual soul? I told you. Swapna, dream, Chitta, the concept of Chitta, little bit of different from what talk about mind. Then what is this bondage? Then moksha, liberation. Then what are the means? Jnana, the spiritual knowledge. Karma, action, performance. We have to act once we born. We cannot sit idle. Then yoga, what is the practice? Then what is the shastra? The text. Then daiva and paurusha. So these are the important aspects we are going to discuss. So if you see the whole Yoga Vasishtha, the philosophy, I can quote here some of the eminent philosophers who are almost in line with, but they are different in many ways. As I said, the entire Vedanta, where it comes from Prasthanatrayi, the Upanishads, Brahma Sutra, Badarayana, and Gita, Bhagavad Gita. These are the three important treatises. On Brahma Sutra, three acharyas, Shankara, Madhva and Ramanuja, and Acharya Triya we call, and they promote the same sutra has been commented different view, Advaita, Dvaita and Vishishtadvaita philosophies has come up on the same concept. But we cannot ignore the Gaudapada, very important teacher of Vedanta. He also elaborately, all these acharyas. Then don't forget about Kapila and Patanjali and Buddha, the concept of Buddhas, the philosophy of Buddhism. So, if you have the holistic view of the Buddhism or the yoga of Buddha and yoga of Patanjali and yoga of Shankara, Gaudapada, if you go on comparing, so if you go to the very roots, they seem to be little bit similar, but somewhere they are deviating in their understanding about the Brahman, in their understanding about Maya, Jagat. The understanding of Maya of Shankara and that of Vasishtha is little bit of different. Same thing about Gaudapada. So, why I am elaborating, in Indian context, all these great yoga masters, yoga acharyas, rishis, try to understand the universe which is infinite. So, we are finite. These people elevate into the state of that infinite, but come back and reproduce that, but they used to convey their knowledge, ultimate knowledge, the finite sources like the language, the mind, etc., etc., who are the communication. That much of dilution of the ultimate reality, while teaching from one master to the another master. Maybe the similarities, but conveying them to that context of people who are the followers of these yoga masters. That much of deviation from the thought process has been occurred. And the philosophy of and practice of yoga are thousands, many thousand years, and there are so many impact factors, the ruler, the priest and other things has deviated the original text, etc. Now, whatever they are available, so on that basis we have to understand. Once you go to the holistic approach to understand the very acharya, the teacher, here it is Vasishtha, which has been written by Valmiki. So, we are able to understand the whole aspects of Yoga Vasishtha. With this, today we will take up the first two, Brahman and Maya. Yoga Vasishtha uses the Upanishadic term Brahman to denote the ultimate reality, which is para, which is satya, which is eternal. In Yoga Vasishtha, Atman with they define, ties Atman with its various synonyms. That is why I given this background. that is Purusha of Sankhya, Brahman of Vedantin, Vijnana of Vijnanavadins, and Shunya of Shunyavadis, is regarded as the real original cause, Mula Karana, of this universe. Brahman is the ultimate reality, and it ties with Atman, and it is the original cause of this universe. As it is the cause of the mind, which is also the cause of the mind, the root cause of this illusory universe or the world, being the essence of eternal Brahman, he creates nothing, but the universe is an illusion created and pursued by the ignorant. We do not accept it. Therefore, I repeat, being the essence of eternal Brahman, the Atman, he creates nothing. Brahman creates nothing. Atman is also part of that. But the universe is an illusion created and pursued by the ignorant. Yoga Vasishtha advocates Ajativada, and hence the unreality of the phenomenal world is explained by the Vedantic similes, such as Gandharva Nagara, a city like formation of clouds, Jalataranga, the apparent distinction but essential oneness of water and its waves, Hemakataka, relation between gold and its ornaments, which are repeatedly used in Yoga Vasishtha to convey Ajativada. This primary cause is the unborn, beginningless, eternal Brahman. It is beyond the ken of thought and words. That is why I said it is infinite. So, by thinking, by understanding, it is impossible to understand because it is unborn and beginningless. The Trika concept of Chitta, whose Spanda is responsible for the appearance and disappearance of the universe, is expounded in the Yoga Vasishtha. Yoga Vasishtha advocates the identity of Brahman and Atman and oneness of Brahman and the world, a creator of Maya which vanishes on the dawning of knowledge. I had given the sutra numbers mentioned in various chapters. Again, Maya is regarded as the cause of the appearance of the world. Whatever we are seeing, it is a Maya, this is the appearance of the world. Therefore, Yoga Vasishtha, Brahman is said to be a matter of experience, not existence. It is peace, endless and beginningless, the essence of everything. All over the text, it is repeatedly emphasized that the world is an illusion and Brahman alone is the reality, and its knowledge liberates one from samsara. It is very, very important. So, seems to be in line with Advaita. Therefore, what is the Brahman? Brahman is said to be a matter of experience. It is peace, bliss, endless and beginningless. There is no end, there is no beginning, there is no birth, there is no death. It is the essence of everything. And the whole Yoga Vasishtha, it is repeatedly emphasized that the world is an illusion and Brahman alone is the reality, and the knowledge of Brahman liberate one from the samsara. With this, I think so, it is very clear what is Brahman, the God concept. Now, let us move on to the Maya. In the Yoga Vasishtha, the story of Gadi and later that of the ascetic Kundadanta. So that Maya is nothing but the work of the mind, and world has no real external existence at all. So that's why in the first lecture itself I said everything is created in the mind. It is the work of mind. We have created the world. The entire universe lies in the mind, as the big tree with its leaves and flowers lies in its seed. Kindly see the important example. As the big tree with its leaves and flowers lies in its seed. Chitta is the main center of Maya. Because what is said, the work of mind and the world. Maya is the work of mind, and the world is no real external existence. It doesn't exist because it is a creation of the mind. Therefore, Maya consists of gunas and is very difficult to comprehend. Though no existence, it causes the appearance, pratibhasa, and distortion, viparyasa. In this phenomenal world, it is very important. But on closer examination, Maya disappears as waves of close watching are found to be nothing but water. The universe created by Maya is nothing but chitta chamatkara. Just it's a magic, chamatkara of what? Chitta. Wonderful work of chitta, as it is explained in the 5th adhyaya. It is both existent and non-existent. Though unreal, it has come into being from somewhere. The last sentence is very, very important. Closely allied with Maya is the concept of avidya, non-knowledge or false knowledge. Though unreal, it obscures our thinking, creates the universe full of multiplicity. It is a wrong knowledge. It vanishes when closely examined. In another highly poetic description of avidya, it is identified with the vasana which dilutes the mind. Vasana, the senses, the external of senses. Though in itself it is unreal, but it is identified with the vasanas. It flickering like lightning, dry like a mirage, seductive like a picture of beautiful women. It is not a real human. It creates several words in a pure mind, cheta, like waves in a sea. Waves in a sea are not permanent. In Yoga Vasishtha, avidya is equated with ajnana, ignorance. But Yoga Vasishtha offers an interesting analysis of avidya by stating how a soul has to go through the 7 stages or bhumikas: bija jagrata, jagrata, mahajagrata, jagrata swapna, swapna, swapna jagrata, and sushuptaka. Each one of these stages has about 100 sub stages. One can go beyond these 7 stages by correct philosophical analyzation or philosophical thinking. Therefore, we have mentioned this. So, today we conclude. We will discuss about these 7 stages or the bhumikas tomorrow. in detail to understand how the Maya has been created, how we are living in the illusion, and what are the methods given by Yoga Vasishtha for overcoming this Maya. Dhanyavad. Thank you very much. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
We are very grateful to have Dr. Ishwar Basavareddy sir with his beautiful expositions on Yoga Vasishtha. Namaste.